Imagine it's 1976. The United States is celebrating its 200th birthday. The air is thick with the smell of hairspray and gasoline, and the radio is playing a song so catchy you're convinced this new artist is going to be the next Beatles. But then they just vanish. Today, we're diving into the strange, funky, and sometimes hilarious world of the 1976 one-hit wonders. From disco-fied classical music to songs about lunch menus that were actually about something else, we're looking at the artists who owned the charts for one glorious summer and then disappeared into the history books. 1976 was a weirdly specific pivot point in music history. We were right in the middle of the me decade. Disco was exploding out of underground clubs into the mainstream. Soft rock was becoming the soundtrack of suburban America, and the bicentennial celebrations had everyone feeling a bit nostalgic. In this environment, the one-hit wonder became a phenomenon, because the industry was shifting so fast. A band could capture lightning in a bottle with a specific sound, only for the audience to move on to the next trend 3 months later. I've dug through the archives to find the stories behind the songs you definitely know, but the artists you probably don't. Let's start with perhaps the most famous one-hit wonder of the decade. Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry. Now, if you heard this song in a club in '76, you probably pictured a seasoned funk band from Detroit. But Wild Cherry was actually a group of white kids from Steubenville, Ohio, who started out playing hard rock. The story goes that they were performing at a club where the audience was mostly into disco. Someone in the crowd allegedly shouted, "Are you white boys gonna play some funky music?" Lead singer Rob Parisi took that as a challenge, wrote the song in about 5 minutes on a prescription pad, and it went straight to #1. It sold over 2 million copies. But here's the kicker. They were so tied to that specific funk rock crossover sound that when they tried to release follow-ups, the audience had already moved on. They stayed a one-hit wonder, not for lack of talent, but because they captured a very specific 1976 zeitgeist that couldn't be repeated. Do you think Play That Funky Music is the best one-hit wonder of all time? Let me know in the comments. Speaking of disco disruptions, we have to talk about Walter Murphy. In 1976, he did the unthinkable. He took Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, one of the most sacred pieces of classical music, and gave it a disco beat. A fifth of Beethoven hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It's the ultimate 1976 success story. A New York composer and arranger who realized that the driving rhythm of disco could make even 18th century music club-ready. While Walter Murphy never had another pop hit, he didn't exactly fail. He went on to have a massive career in TV and film scoring. You actually hear his work every time you watch Family Guy. If disco was the heartbeat of '76, soft rock was the soul. And no song defines this better or more controversially than Afternoon Delight by the Starland Vocal Band. This song is famous for its incredible vocal harmonies, winning the Grammy for Best New Artist. But did you know the inspiration wasn't actually romance? Bill Danoff, the songwriter, saw a menu at a Washington, D.C. restaurant called Clyde's that had a Afternoon Delight happy hour menu. He thought the name was catchy. Of course, the lyrics took on a much more adult connotation. It became a massive #1 hit, but the Starland Vocal Band struggled to shed the novelty image the song gave them. They even had a short-lived TV variety show, but by 1977, the public's fascination with their wholesome-looking brand of innuendo had faded. Then there's Starbuck, not the coffee shop, the band from Atlanta. Their hit Moonlight Feels Right is the quintessential 1976 summer vibe. It's smooth, it's breezy, and it features a marimba solo. It took months for this song to climb the charts, eventually hitting the top 10. It's a masterclass in mid-70s production. But Starbuck is the perfect example of the sophisticated one-hit wonder. They were incredibly tight musicians, but their sound was so specific to that yacht rock transition era that their follow-up singles just couldn't find the same traction. Sometimes, a one-hit wonder happens because the hit doesn't actually sound like the artist. Take Elvin Bishop's Fooled Around and Fell in Love. Elvin Bishop was a legendary blues rock guitarist. He didn't even sing lead on this track because he felt his voice didn't suit the soulful ballad. Instead, he let his backing vocalist, Mickey Thomas, take the mic. The song hit number 3 and became an all-time classic. But because it was so different from Bishop's usual gritty blues rock style, his core fans were confused, and the pop fans didn't want his blues stuff. Mickey Thomas, however, went on to become the lead singer of Starship Soul. At least someone kept the hits coming. We also saw the rise of the TV theme hit. John Sebastian was already a legend with the Loaven Spoonful. But in '76, he hit number 1 with Welcome Back, the theme for Welcome Back, Kotter. It was a massive solo success. But as the show's popularity became the song's primary identity, Sebastian found it hard to re-establish himself as a solo artist outside of that 3-minute television window. 1976 was a year of celebration, transition, and some of the catchiest music ever recorded. These artists might be called one-hit wonders, but they provided the soundtrack to a very specific moment in human history. They captured the groove of the bicentennial and the glitter of the disco floor before the world moved. Onto the punk and new wave movements of the late 70s. But I want to hear from you. Which of these songs is your favorite? Or is there a 1976 gem I missed? Maybe Turn the Beat Around by Vicky Sue Robinson, or Let Your Love Flow by the Bellamy Brothers. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're constantly diving into the cultural revolutions and historical figures that shaped our world. Thanks for watching, and keep the music playing. I'll see you in the next one.